Restaurants around the country are running out of time. An estimated 16,000 permanently closed since March.
A few years ago, these restaurants were everywhere. Packed parking lots, long wait times, families, friends, late-night crowds filling booths and tables. They weren't just places to eat. They were part of everyday life in America. But today, something feels different. Empty tables during peak hours, locations quietly closing, menus shrinking, prices rising, and behind the scenes, many of these once dominant restaurant chains are facing serious challenges: declining sales, changing customer habits, rising costs, and competition they weren't built to handle. Because the restaurant industry has changed, fast casual chains are taking over. Delivery apps are reshaping how people eat, and younger customers are looking for something completely different: faster, fresher, more unique experiences. And here's the harsh reality: some of these legacy chains didn't adapt fast enough. Now, that doesn't mean they're disappearing tomorrow, but it does mean they're under pressure, real pressure. So in this video, we're breaking down 15 popular US restaurant chains that are in serious trouble right now in 2026. And more importantly, why? Because once you understand what's happening behind the scenes, you'll never look at these restaurants the same way again. 1. Red Lobster. Let's start with one of the most iconic seafood chains in America, Red Lobster. For decades, Red Lobster was the place for casual seafood dining, special occasions, family dinners, endless shrimp promotions. It had a strong identity. But in recent years, the brand has faced serious challenges. One of the biggest issues? Rising costs. Seafood is expensive, and when supply chains fluctuate or prices increase, it hits restaurants like Red Lobster harder than most. To stay competitive, they've leaned heavily on promotions, like their famous endless shrimp. But here's the problem: those deals sometimes bring in traffic while hurting profitability. More customers, but less profit per table. At the same time, consumer preferences are shifting. Younger diners often prefer faster, more customizable options, or independent restaurants with unique experiences. Red Lobster, with its traditional sit-down model, can feel outdated by comparison. Add in rising labor costs, aging locations, and increased competition, and suddenly, a once dominant brand is fighting to stay relevant. 2. TGI Fridays. Next up, TGI Fridays. At one point, TGI Fridays was the definition of casual dining cool. Loud atmosphere, big portions, a place to hang out, celebrate, and enjoy a night out. But today, that energy is fading. One major issue is identity. What exactly is TGI Fridays now? Bar? Restaurant? Family spot? Late-night hangout? The brand has struggled to clearly define itself in a market that's become more specialized. At the same time, casual dining as a whole has taken a hit. Customers are either going cheaper, fast food, or upgrading to more premium, unique dining experiences. That leaves chains like Fridays stuck in the middle. And being in the middle is one of the hardest places to survive. Add to that declining foot traffic, store closures, and competition from newer concepts, and it's clear the brand is under serious pressure to reinvent itself. 3. Applebee's. Applebee's is another giant in the casual dining world. Neighborhood bar and grill. Affordable meals. Familiar menu. But that familiarity has become both a strength and a weakness. Because while loyal customers still visit, younger generations often see Applebee's as predictable and not in a good way. Menus haven't evolved fast enough. Experiences feel similar across locations. And in an era where people want something unique, standardized can feel boring. Another issue? Heavy reliance on promotions. Discount deals and specials bring people in, but they also train customers to only visit when there's a deal. That hurts long-term profitability. And when combined with rising costs, it creates a difficult balancing act. Applebee's isn't gone, but it's definitely fighting to stay relevant in a rapidly changing dining landscape. 4. Denny's. Denny's has long been known as America's diner. Open 24/7, affordable, reliable, a place where you could get breakfast at any hour. But even that identity is being challenged. Late-night dining has changed. Fewer people are going out at 2 a.m., and delivery apps have replaced many of those spontaneous visits. At the same time, labor costs make 24/7 operations harder to sustain. Some locations have reduced hours, which weakens the very thing that made Denny's unique. Then there's competition. Modern breakfast and brunch spots offer fresher ingredients, trendier menus, and a more appealing atmosphere. Compared to that, Denny's can feel outdated. It still has brand recognition, but maintaining relevance in today's dining world is becoming increasingly difficult. 5. Wendy's finally. Wendy's. Unlike the others on this list, Wendy's is still a major player in fast food. So why is it here? Because even strong brands face pressure. Wendy's positions itself as higher quality than typical fast food. Fresh beef, better ingredients. But that positioning comes with higher costs. And in a price-sensitive market, that can be a challenge. At the same time, competition is intense. Chains are constantly innovating. New menu items, aggressive pricing, digital ordering, loyalty programs. And staying ahead requires constant investment. There's also the issue of consistency. With so many locations, maintaining the same experience everywhere is difficult. One bad experience can turn customers away, especially when alternatives are everywhere. Wendy's isn't collapsing, but it's operating in one of the most competitive spaces in the entire industry. And that means constant pressure to perform. 6. Pizza Hut. Let's talk about Pizza Hut, a brand that once defined pizza night in America. If you grew up in the 90s or early 2000s, Pizza Hut wasn't just takeout, it was an experience. Red roof buildings, dine-in buffets, checkered tablecloths. But today, that version of Pizza Hut is almost gone. One of the biggest challenges the company faces is identity. Is it a dine-in restaurant? A delivery chain? A budget option? A premium pizza brand? Over time, Pizza Hut has shifted heavily toward delivery and takeout, closing many dine-in locations. While that helped them adapt to modern habits, it also erased part of what made them unique. And then there's competition. Domino's has dominated the delivery game with speed and technology. Meanwhile, smaller artisan pizza spots are winning over customers looking for quality and authenticity. That leaves Pizza Hut stuck in the middle. Not the fastest, not the cheapest, not the most premium. And in today's market, being in the middle is dangerous. Add rising ingredient costs, changing consumer tastes, and an aging brand image. And suddenly, Pizza Hut isn't leading the pizza industry anymore. It's trying to keep up. 7. Papa John's next. Papa John's. Known for its slogan, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's built its reputation on quality. But the brand has faced major turbulence in recent years. One of the biggest issues has been reputation. Public controversies tied to leadership in the past impacted the brand's image, forcing the company to rebuild trust with customers. And while they've worked hard to rebrand and recover, perception takes time to change. Then there's pricing. Papa John's positions itself as a slightly more premium pizza option, but in a price-sensitive market, that can backfire. Customers often compare it to cheaper alternatives or jump to higher-end local pizzerias instead. That creates pressure from both sides. Too expensive for budget buyers, not unique enough for premium seekers. And in a crowded pizza market, that's a tough place to be. Papa John's isn't out of the game, but it's still working to redefine exactly where it fits. 8. Popeyes. Popeyes exploded in popularity thanks to one thing: the chicken sandwich. At its peak, it created lines, shortages, and viral hype across the country. But here's the challenge with viral success: it's hard to sustain. Once the hype fades, the focus shifts back to consistency, and that's where some issues begin. Customers often report long wait times, order inaccuracies, and inconsistent food quality, depending on location. And because demand surged so quickly, some stores struggled to keep up operationally. There's also intense competition. Chick-fil-A continues to dominate in consistency and service, while other chains have jumped into the chicken sandwich wars. Popeyes still has strong flavor and brand recognition, but maintaining that momentum and turning hype into long-term loyalty is a much bigger challenge. 9. Bahama Breeze. Bahama Breeze offers something different: Caribbean-inspired food, tropical drinks, and a laid-back island vibe. But that uniqueness is also part of the problem. Because niche concepts can be harder to scale, Bahama Breeze appeals to a specific mood: vacation, relaxation, escape. But that's not an everyday dining choice for most people. And in a time when consumers are cutting back on spending, restaurants that feel like special occasion spots often see fewer visits. There's also competition from local restaurants that offer more authentic or region-specific cuisine. And then there's the casual dining challenge overall: rising costs, declining traffic, and shifting preferences toward faster or more convenient options. Bahama Breeze isn't failing overnight, but it's operating in a space that's becoming harder to sustain. 10. Smoky Bones. Finally, Smoky Bones, a brand that tries to blend barbecue with a sports bar atmosphere. And that's exactly where the challenge lies. Because barbecue, at its core, is about tradition, time, and authenticity. Slow-cooked meats, deep flavors, a focus on craft. But Smoky Bones leans heavily into the bar and grill experience, TVs, drinks, casual dining energy. And sometimes, that split identity creates inconsistency. Is it a barbecue destination, or just another casual dining chain with barbecue on the menu? Customers often notice variability in food quality. Great one visit, average the next. And in barbecue, consistency is everything. Adding competition from both authentic local barbecue spots and larger national chains. And Smoky Bones finds itself in a tough position, trying to stand out while not fully owning a clear identity. 11. Golden Corral. Let's talk about Golden Corral, a brand built on one simple promise: all you can eat. For years, that idea was unbeatable. Families, large groups, and budget-conscious diners loved the variety and value. But today, that same model is under serious pressure. Buffets rely on volume, high traffic, constant turnover, and when traffic drops, even slightly, the entire system starts to struggle. Food sits longer. Freshness becomes harder to maintain. Waste increases. Then came a major shift in consumer behavior. People became more conscious about hygiene, food handling, and shared serving spaces, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. And buffets? They were hit harder than almost any other dining format. Golden Corral has tried to adapt, introducing new service styles and improving operations. But the core challenge remains. Can the buffet model still thrive in a world that values freshness, speed, and control? That's the question Golden Corral is still trying to answer. 12. Noodles and Company. Noodles and Company entered the market with a strong idea: global noodle dishes, fast and affordable. Pasta, Asian-inspired bowls, comfort food, all in one place. But over time, that broad concept became a challenge. Because when you try to do everything, it's harder to stand out in anything. Customers often struggle to define what Noodles and Company really is. Italian, Asian, American comfort food? That lack of clear identity can make it harder to build loyalty. Then there's competition. Specialized fast casual brands, focused on one cuisine, often deliver stronger, more memorable experiences. And in today's market, clarity wins. Add in rising ingredient costs, shifting consumer preferences, and the pressure to constantly innovate. And Noodles and Company finds itself in a tough position, trying to be everything in a world that rewards focus. 13. Sherry's Cafe and Pies. Sherry's Cafe and Pies has long been a staple in certain regions of the U.S., known for its diner-style meals and, of course, pies. It built its reputation on comfort, familiar food, cozy atmosphere, a place that feels like home. But here's the challenge. That style of dining is fading. Younger customers are moving toward faster, trendier, or more unique experiences. And traditional diner chains are struggling to keep up. There's also the issue of modernization. Many locations feel outdated, both in design and menu offerings. And while nostalgia can be powerful, it only works if it's paired with quality and relevance. Sherry still has loyal customers, but attracting new ones in today's competitive landscape is becoming increasingly difficult. 14. Johnny Rockets. Johnny Rockets is built on nostalgia. 1950s-style diners, classic burgers, milkshakes, retro vibes. And for a while, that concept worked. It was fun, different, a throwback experience. But over time, the novelty began to wear off. Because once you've experienced it once, there's less reason to come back regularly. And in today's market, repeat visits are everything. There's also strong competition for modern burger chains that focus on freshness, customization, and quality. Compared to that, Johnny Rockets can feel more like a theme than a must-visit restaurant. And themes, by nature, have a limited lifespan. Without constant innovation, they risk becoming outdated. 15. Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. Finally, Fleming's Prime Steakhouse and Wine Bar. This is a very different category from the others. High-end dining, premium steaks, upscale experience. So why is it under pressure? Because luxury dining is changing. Today's high-end customers expect more than just good food. They want unique experiences, chef-driven concepts, local sourcing, innovation, and they have more options than ever: independent steakhouses, boutique restaurants, and global cuisine. At the same time, economic pressures can reduce spending on expensive dining experiences. When people cut back, luxury meals are often the first to go. Fleming's still delivers quality, but in a market that's becoming more competitive and experience-driven, standing out is harder than ever. 16. IHOP. Let's talk about IHOP, a brand that built its entire identity around one thing: pancakes. For decades, IHOP was the go-to spot for breakfast at any time of day. Late nights, early mornings, family brunch, it owned that space. But today, that dominance is slipping. One of the biggest issues is competition. Breakfast has become one of the most crowded categories in the restaurant industry. Fast food chains now offer all-day breakfast, while trendy brunch spots attract younger customers with more modern menus and aesthetics. IHOP, on the other hand, still feels traditional. And while tradition can be comforting, it can also feel outdated. Then there was the infamous IHOP rebranding attempt, switching from pancakes to burgers, even temporarily. It created buzz, but also confusion. Because when a brand built on pancakes suddenly pushes burgers, customers start to wonder what it really stands for. Add in rising costs, aging locations, and shifting consumer habits. And IHOP finds itself trying to hold on to its identity in a market that's moving fast. When you look at this list, it's easy to think these restaurants are failing. But that's not the full story, because what you're really seeing is change. The restaurant industry isn't dying. It's evolving, faster than ever. Customers want speed, convenience, experience, transparency. They want food that feels fresh, spaces that feel modern, brands that feel relevant. And the chains that succeed are the ones that adapt, the ones that listen, the ones that are willing to change, even when it's uncomfortable. Because staying the same is no longer an option. But here's the most important part: just because a chain is struggling doesn't mean it's gone. Some of these brands will reinvent themselves. Some will come back stronger, and some may quietly disappear. That's the reality of any industry that moves this fast. So the next time you walk into one of these restaurants, look around. Notice the details, the crowd, the atmosphere, the energy, because you're not just seeing a place to eat. You're seeing a business in transition. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these restaurants do you think will survive? And which ones are already too far gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the future of dining is being decided right now. 17. Buffalo Wild Wings. Next, Buffalo Wild Wings. At its peak, this was the ultimate game day destination. Big screens, loud crowds, wings and beer. But now, the experience is harder to maintain. First, there's cost. Chicken wings have become significantly more expensive, which directly impacts pricing and customer perception of value. Then there's the changing way people watch sports. Streaming services, home setups, and social media mean fewer people feel the need to go out to watch a game. And if the experience at home is cheaper and more comfortable, that's tough competition. There's also increasing pressure from smaller, local wing spots that focus purely on quality. Buffalo Wild Wings still has strong brand recognition, but maintaining that high-energy, in-person experience in a changing world, that's the real challenge. 18. Sbarro. You've probably seen Sbarro in malls, airports, or food courts. And that's exactly the issue. Sbarro's entire business model is tied to foot traffic, busy malls, crowded shopping centers, travelers passing through airports. But those environments have changed. Mall traffic has declined. Shopping habits have shifted online. Even airports now offer more diverse food options. And when the environment changes, so does the demand. Sbarro's pizza is designed for speed and convenience. But in a world where delivery and local pizza shops dominate, that advantage is shrinking. It's not that Sbarro is bad. It's that the world it was built for isn't the same anymore. 19. Outback Steakhouse. Outback Steakhouse once thrived on a simple formula: big portions, bold flavors, casual steakhouse experience. But like many casual dining chains, it's feeling the pressure. Rising food costs, especially beef, make it harder to maintain value while keeping prices competitive. At the same time, consumers are becoming more selective about where they spend money on dining. If they're paying for steak, many prefer a more premium, specialized experience. And if they want something cheaper, they might skip sit-down dining altogether. That leaves Outback in a familiar but difficult position, caught in the middle. Still popular, but facing increasing pressure from both ends of the market. 20. Cracker Barrel. Finally, Cracker Barrel, a brand built on nostalgia, country-style cooking, rustic decor, a gift shop filled with old-fashioned charm. For years, it created a unique experience you couldn't find anywhere else. But today, that same nostalgia presents a challenge, because younger generations don't always connect with it the same way. The menu, while comforting, hasn't evolved as quickly as modern dining trends. And the overall experience, while familiar, can feel dated. There's also the issue of travel patterns. Cracker Barrel thrives on highway traffic and road trips, but changes in travel habits and increased competition along highways have impacted that flow. It's still a beloved brand, but staying relevant in a rapidly changing market, that's the challenge it now faces. So when you look at this list, it's easy to think these restaurants are failing. But that's not the full story, because what you're really seeing is change. The restaurant industry isn't dying. It's evolving, faster than ever. Customers want speed, convenience, experience, transparency. They want food that feels fresh, spaces that feel modern, brands that feel relevant. And the chains that succeed are the ones that adapt, the ones that listen, the ones that are willing to change, even when it's uncomfortable, because staying the same is no longer an option. But here's the most important part. Just because a chain is struggling doesn't mean it's gone. Some of these brands will reinvent themselves. Some will come back stronger, and some may quietly disappear. That's the reality of any industry that moves this fast. So the next time you walk into one of these restaurants, look around. Notice the details, the crowd, the atmosphere, the energy, because you're not just seeing a place to eat. You're seeing a business in transition. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these restaurants do you think will survive? And which ones are already too far gone? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the future of dining is being decided right now.